Greetings, this is Darth Vader, and I would be honored if you would join me as we explore how my fate and the fate of the entire galaxy would have changed if Padme had choked me instead of me choking her. Let's go back to that fateful day on Mustafar, where I am trying to explain to her my reasoning for joining the dark side. However, she is having none of it. She looks at me and tells me that I am going down a path that she cannot follow, and that this is going to destroy our relationship if I continue in the dark side. She puts her hands on my face for what I think is a loving embrace, but instead, her thumbs curl around my trachea and she starts to choke me out of anger. She starts yelling at me like I've never heard before, telling me that I am behaving no better than the slavers that used to oppress me on Tatooine, how I am becoming a dictator, and that is not the kind of man that she fell in love with. She tells me that the dark side cannot give life, and that if I continue on this path, it's going to destroy me, her, and our entire relationship. She forces me to think about my decisions while she is shaking my head back and forth from the force of choking me. Obi-Wan is amazed to see what is going on because she was about to make me pass out because I wasn't resisting her because I was in so much shock. Obi-Wan came to protect Padme from me, but instead he's now contemplating protecting me from her. Tears stream down my face, and I reflect on what I have done, and that I must make right the wrongs I have committed. I must bring peace to the galaxy. I must bring the entire empire down. So I leave from Padme, and I tell her that she needs to go somewhere safe while I put an end to all of this, and that she was right, that there is good in me, and that I cannot go down this path. I walk past Obi-Wan, ignoring him completely because I am focused on my mission to bring down the Emperor, but he stops me. He says to me, "Anakin, I know that you are no longer on the dark side because I don't sense any darkness in you. However, I am going to follow you and watch what you are doing, and if you slip up and snap and kill another youngling, I am going to chop you down." And I, not saying much towards him, proceed to the control room in Mustafar, where I get data logs from all of the droids as well as the communication devices from off of the Separatist leaders. I compile all of the evidence that Palpatine was secretly working with Dooku and with the Separatists, and I gather this data in order to take it and broadcast it all around the entire galaxy so that Palpatine's empire will completely crumble down around him. Obi-Wan watches me carefully for any false moves for which he would punish me. However, over time, as we are traveling to Coruscant, I explain to him how the Emperor was able to manipulate me and that I need to focus on my mission. I try to tell him to leave me alone because if this goes sideways, I don't want him to die too. However, hearing such sacrificial language coming from me, he truly realizes that I have changed and that there is no more darkness in me. And for a split second, he starts to feel comfortable around me again, like when we were Jedi partners back before I initially fell to the dark side. So he starts to get a little more comfortable. We go to the Coruscant streets, we find a computer terminal, and we upload all of the footage, all of the conversations, all of the data logs that implicate Palpatine as a participant in the Separatist force and shows that he was secretly working with Count Dooku. Unfortunately for Palpatine, every single Coruscant guardsman, senator, bounty hunter in every cantina across the galaxy, and worse yet, every single clone is able to see the full recording. Once the clones find out that he was secretly the leader of the Separatists, that immediately calls for a warrant for his arrest as well as a war footing. But better still, the fact that he is no longer able to serve as Chancellor because he is now under arrests, it annuls all of his executive orders, including Order 66. So this allows the Jedi for a little bit more breathing room. back at his office, he's preparing to evacuate when the clones storm in, and he easily dispatches them. However, because every clone in the galaxy now knows that he is evil, knows that he is the leader of the Separatists, they all start shooting at him wherever he goes, and he has to fight through all of them just to get to his ship, causing him to slowly get exhausted over time. The Senate is in complete uproar after these revelations, and they put a bounty on his head, which makes matters worse for him, because now in addition to the clones wanting to gun him down, every single bounty hunter in the galaxy is looking for him to cash in on that sweet bounty. So that causes him to have to fight off pretty much the entire criminal underground, every bounty hunter, and everyone on the street that is just looking to make some free credits. He eventually is able to fight his way to his shuttle and land on Naboo, where he tries to escape and reformulate his plan. But I knew that's where he would go, so I am immediately on his ass and start fighting with him. Now, if this were any other circumstance, he would eviscerate me in a few seconds, because he is that much more powerful than I am. However, in this particular scenario, because he is exhausted from having to fight his way to his ship, and he had to pilot the ship by himself, which he's not proficient at, he is stressed, he is exhausted, and he is highly fatigued. So, his performance levels are about equivalent to those of Count Dooku, meaning that this fight goes pretty much identically to the fight I had with Dooku on the Invisible Hand, except because I know that he is trying to ruin the galaxy, that he is trying to ruin my life as well as those around me, I have no problems chopping him into a thick, lumpy stew, therefore bringing an end to the Empire and allowing me to collect the entire bounty and make myself rich beyond my wildest imaginations. Obi-Wan arrives to the scene with Padme and is very grateful that I was able to take out Palpatine. However, there's still the matter to discuss me answering for the crimes I committed against the Jedi Temple as well as against the younglings. So Yoda arrives to pass judgment on me. He tells me that I am guilty. He tells me that I am expelled from the Jedi Order, and he tells me that justice will be served, and that there is blood on my hands. However, I look at him, and I tell him that everything that is wrong with the galaxy now, he had almost a millennia to fix. He sat in the Jedi Temple for 800 years and didn't fix anything. And I tell him, I say, Yoda, you had 700-year head start on Palpatine and his plans, and you failed. You brought us to battle alongside the clones who would exterminate the Jedi Order. You failed to anticipate everything that the Emperor would do from the very beginning. You tried to fight him and got cooked and then ran away like a little coward. You have sat there and watched everything be made worse under your reign as Jedi Grand Master. In what way has the galaxy been made any better due to your meaningless existence, you green little shit biscuit? And realizing that I am right, he feels a pain in his chest, realizes how worthless he's been for the last millennia, and dies of a broken heart. The medical droids are not able to save him. I tell everyone that I don't choose the Sith or the Jedi. I choose me. I choose to be Anakin Skywalker, and I choose Padme and our children. Padme breathes a sigh of relief and goes into labor and gives a healthy birth to Luke and Leia, and she survives and does not die in childbirth. I decide to retire from the Jedi Order and retire from the Sith as well, and just live with Padme on Naboo and sell mechanical parts as well as mechanical services to everyone in the galaxy, making me even richer, because that's what I had a passion for before I joined the Jedi Order, and I decided to pursue my own passions, not those of the people leading me like puppet masters. I become the world's best mechanic ever. I become richer and more famous and more intelligent than a combination of Scotty Kilmer, Chris Fix, and Eric the Car Guy. Imagine all three of those guys combined, and you have a tenth of my power. Obi-Wan becomes the new Jedi Grandmaster by default because everyone else is dead, and he reforms the Jedi Order in a way that he sees fit. He allows marriage, he allows love, but he allows people to do this within reason. Padme and I raise Luke and Leia together, and the Empire reverts back to the Republic. And that's what would happen if Padme had choked me. Let me know what you think in the comments below.